Begin. Welcome to our evening practice. So take a moment to adjust your body in a comfortable position and notice your sit bones, notice your spine. And right away, place one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart, close down your eyes, and invite breath to your belly. So a few rounds of breath here to expand and invite that belly breath. And feel breaths to settle down and tune in. Using your hands to connect with your body and your breath. Notice how it feels. How are you doing at the moment as you breathe? Observe your breath. Every time you pause to breathe is a new experience. So notice what's new, what's different. What is there to discover about yourself? Pay attention to sound of breath. Pay attention to which nostril feels more open. And using this moment to shift your focus from anything else going on in your breath and your body. Letting go of thinking, doing, and simply feeling. And do your best to maintain this 3-part breath if it doesn't feel strenuous. And you can go ahead, relax your hands on your thighs and follow pathway of your breath into your nostrils, into your throat, into your lungs. And enjoy. There's fresh oxygen, fresh energy, and this opportunity to pause, to take a break from the world. And enjoy this moment as a sanctuary. Imagine you're diving in or walking in to your own private sanctuary, a cocoon, a home, any analogy that brings a sense of safety, privacy, and freedom. In this sanctuary, you can be around others and still able to retreat into this sanctuary. It is a beautiful skill to develop that allows you not to get so affected by the world out there. Not as a means to isolate but as a means to protect, to stay well, and recognizing that while we are a collective consciousness coming from one source, we at the same time are in an experience that is very individual, very unique. And the intention for our practice today is to dive into this uniqueness It begins with this physical expression. And notice your toes, sensation in your toes, soles of feet. Notice ankles. Notice calves, knees, thighs. Notice sensations there. And acknowledge that you are feeling unique sensations. You have very unique toes, unique feet, unique legs. At the same time, connected to a vast unity. It is one of those dichotomies of this reality. And the more we understand that it is a dichotomy, alone and together at the same time, separate and connected at the same time, whole and different parts at the same time. It's like a dance around those polarities and embracing it all. The benefit of this reflection, this understanding, is more expansion, more space for open perspective as opposed to fixed, right, wrong, black, white, good, bad. And realizing these dualities that represent different aspects of the same thing. And that allows us to perceive more connection as opposed to separation. And beginning with this practice with your own individuality, acknowledging, embracing your individuality as a paradox allows you to feel more connected or more understanding about everybody's individuality. So pay attention to this very unique experience, very unique expression with appreciation and recognition that there's nobody else like you. It's a unique expression. So many synchronicities needed to happen in order to form you the way you are. Hair, eyes, fingerprints, smile, teeth. So many unique details, unique work of art, divine art. Connect with your divine art, your body, your breath, and yourself. A voice, unique voice, and naturally a unique perception. What you see passes through a filter, through your eyes. There's a reflection that captures light and creates an image. That all passes through a filter. All your experiences, everything that you learned. It is a truly fantastic mechanism being a human being. From this unique expression, at the same time, notice, acknowledge your connection with the one vast source of energy. The energy that animates the body, that envelops the body, expands, and apart from the body, if we could see energy with our eyes, with a certain device, imagine if you had a certain device that allowed you to perceive energy, you would notice that between one energy field and another, there is no a clear separation. Everything connects energetically. We only perceive a separation because our skin is a dense form of energy. It looks and feels separate. But notice how much effect we have on one another just by being around one another, just by listening to one another, spending time with one another. We can influence, we do influence and affect each other. So, from your unique individual experience that is perfectly unique, not to be compared, not to be compromised, to follow somebody else, or to neglect your uniqueness because it is different. But embracing your uniqueness, which is a gift, and at the same time aware that you are contributing to the collective just by existing. You are part of a web. What you think, what you feel, what you believe in, your state of being contributes to the collective. Your state of consciousness contributes. Even without a clear verbal communication. Right now, you're sending signals to vast web of communication. And the quality of these signals contribute to the collective. There have been experiments that show groups of people meditating at the same time with a certain intention, we're able to reduce violence and crime in a certain area by 70%. That's the power of what your energy field can create in a collective. The intention today is to, at the same time, you acknowledge and recognize your uniqueness, beautiful uniqueness. At the same time, remember our interdependency, our connectiveness, and the impact of our existence in the collective. And the benefit of that is not only to realize that although we are unique and separate, we are far from being alone, even when we are by ourselves. We are part of a big human family. And at the same time, we look and have a very unique experience. We are essentially the same. And essentially another part of the one source. And essentially there's this one big heart, this one big mind, universal mind, is one field from which generates many different expressions of the same thing. So we are essentially the same. And that awareness allows us to let go of judgment and there is a perspective that if we judge another, we are simply judging another part of ourselves. Might not be aware of it, not always aware of it, because it happens so fast. We learned, we programmed our mind to judge so quickly that we might realize after the fact. And not to judge the fact that we judge, but to recognize that there is nobody else to judge. They're just different expressions, different manifestations of the same thing that we are. One master teacher answered this question simply and beautifully when one student asked, "Dear Master, how should I treat others?" His answer was, "There are no others." But that might sound like profound perspective, but an invitation to contemplate on it. Not looking for perfection, but what's possible and what would that change if we saw that there is no really another, what impact would that make in the way we live and behave? Because we forgot, and then we isolate and we judge ourselves, we judge others, and live in a very competitive society, not very collaborative. So it begins with your individual perspective. It's when you perceive that you are unique, at the same time part of a whole, that when you love yourself, you naturally love another. And when you forgive yourself, you naturally forgive another. And when you see others as, oh, that's another part of me, how would that change our experience or our perspective? So, with all that being said, we can only really injure ourselves. So everything we think about another, it's a projection of the way we think about ourselves. If we expect another to be a different way, it means it comes from an expectation of placed on ourselves of being a certain way. So intention today is to recognize that our experience can only affect ourselves, really. Just like when somebody else attempts to affect you, it is actually a projection that expresses self-harm. It's like we're fighting with mirrors all the time. So when we look in the mirror with unconditional love, when we observe our thoughts and filter the thoughts that are attempts to injure ourselves in any way, attempts to question our perfection, our innocence, and one by one let them go and cultivate unconditional self-love, it becomes a lot easier to feel that way towards others. And what a wonderful feeling to be in love with oneself and others. And yes, we might feel that might be a big goal, but the only thing covering up that feeling are all those thoughts, memories, and layers of conditioning that creates a story that is less than loving. So what it takes is coming down to the heart, down from the thinking mind, from the analytical mind, from the memories, and rest in the heart space. So at first, rest in your heart center and ask yourself, what do I think about yourself? What do you think about you? Ask as if you are having a dialogue with yourself. What are thoughts that tend to injure myself? Just investigate like you're digging weeds in the garden with loving awareness so you can preserve nutrients for the beautiful flowers you want to cultivate, which is a loving relationship with yourself. So take a moment to reflect on habits. We all have habits of self-attack, self-injury, very subtly or not so subtle ways of thinking and saying and choosing that are not our highest expression of self-love. So just take a moment to have a meeting with yourself and reflect on what kind of habitual thinking or beliefs or memories that are not loving that you can perhaps start to recognize one by one and removing them out of your garden, replacing them with unconditional love. So be quiet for a few minutes so you can be with yourself in your private sanctuary. I'll be right back. Notice your next inhale. Follow pathway of your breath. Notice your out breath. And to help becoming aware of those weeds in the garden, it's easy to tell how it feels by the way it feels when we are thinking thoughts that are harmful to oneself or to another. It feels uncomfortable. When we are in the heart is open, we are aware, present, and we are understanding, patient, and loving towards oneself and another. It feels so good. It feels so much better. So what we are looking for, it's easier than trying to figure it out with the mind, is a way of feeling of being, with the question, how does it feel? How do I want to feel? And that's the question that helps breaking the pattern when the thoughts are trying to say otherwise, or to create an unhelpful feeling. But the benefit of the unhelpful feeling is that it allows us to know the difference. If we never felt uncomfortable, if we never felt angry, if we never attacked ourselves or another, we wouldn't have a reference to compare with beautiful feeling of an open heart. So notice your current state of being. What is the most present feeling, most present sensations, and get in touch with feelings. That's the language of the soul, the feelings. But we spend so much time in the mind and thinking and doing and being busy, that we are often out of touch with our feelings, and we don't know how to use them or to understand them to navigate life. So take a moment to notice your state of being, and if you identify any energies or any blockages that might be still present from the past, you might notice some repetition, some patterns that we all have. They're just energetic imprints from the past that by meditating and investigating, there is a possibility of gradually releasing them with your breath, with your awareness, with the recognition, with laughter, with tears. And that's when we feel, one of those were released. And then you become aware of the pattern, and perhaps the repetition no longer shows up. That's the healing process. No expectations, but that's what's possible when we investigate and begin to notice, oh, I always react this way when I feel this way. So this is a sign of an energetic fragment from the past that stimulates the same reaction, as if you're watching the same movie again and again. There's nothing wrong about it. It's just how it is. But if we want to watch a new movie, or if we want to be free from those patterns, we can. We'll find out. We can look at them, breathe through it, move the body through it, or observe and catch that before it takes place. But take a moment to notice your state of being, sensations in the body, and notice if you find any tightness anywhere, and breathe through it. And finally, so we've begun this journey recognizing your uniqueness and your connectiveness at the same time, cultivating the self-love, appreciating your uniqueness, knowing that that's the way to recognize uniqueness of another. And from self-love, it's easier to love another. And then any imprints from the past that prevent that space to happen, perhaps. Now, a great place to look at and cultivate this self-love and appreciation is a picture of you as a little girl, as a child. And it can be helpful to picture that in your mind, or if there is any picture, even better. And with that picture in your mind, you look at her with this appreciation and remembering that essence as pure perfection. Wow, that little girl, essentially perfect, bright, excited to live, to create a life. And anything you can remember, or from now, from your current state of awareness, from your current state of consciousness, cultivate this unconditional love towards her, that little girl, a beautiful, bright, gorgeous girl, worthy of unconditional love, that you can now cultivate. Keep that picture in your heart, and every time you see any thought, any harmful thought, any less than loving thought, think of her. And how would you talk to her? How would you treat her? And everything you're doing now to shift, to expand into more love is for her, for that representation that is the part of you that is still in you, essentially there, which is that part of you beneath everything in between. All the stories, all the memories, all the veils, the clouds, experiences that might have created some imprints that darkened vision and the connection with that pure, innocent beauty and perfection. Connect with that picture, and in your private sanctuary, in your safe cocoon, it's you and her now. And it's your mission now to create an unshakable partnership and loving relationship with her. and refusing anything less than loving, refusing anything that doesn't serve. What does it serve? What doesn't? Notice how it feels. If it doesn't serve, it doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good, doesn't serve. Simple as that. There's nothing we have to do. We are here to learn to cultivate this relationship. So, with that being said, remember that pure innocence and place one hand on your belly, one on your heart. Take a big inhale into your belly, into your ribs, into your chest. Fill up completely. Big smile and laugh out loud. Imagine like children laughing. A little sounds. Big breath in and laugh out loud. All right, one more time. Big inhale. And let it go. It's so good. And place your hands in your heart center. Notice your heart beating or your chin to your chest. And from that heart space, sending love to your unique, inherent, innocent beauty. And think of something else you could say to her so she feels and receives unconditional love. And when you're ready, open your palms, cover your eyes, blink your eyes open, and open your curtains out. Thank you. Have a lovely evening. Bye bye.